streaming live.
Yeah. All right. I hope that this is working. Yeah, at least it says it's working, so we shall see. We shall see if it does. Anyways, welcome back. Short break we had indeed. Busy days the last 2 weeks, so our apologies for not being with you on air. I think we kind of missed it, actually, didn't we, Dominique?
Yes, we did.
And I see you are back in the office, actually.
Yes, I thought, why not? So
Why
checking out
not?
what's going on here in the office. I mean, it's quite empty, but
Mm-hmm.
I actually missed our meeting rooms and my office desk.
The
So
office desk. So
yes,
you're enough of working from the kitchen and whatnot.
yes, yes.
Got it.
So
Yeah.
and we have
No, that's good.
so
That's good.
beautiful meeting rooms, so it's even a better setup than at home. So
So you
this is
moved to
something like
our to the studio, right?
exactly, yes.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, audio is good, and I think video works as well. So let's see
Perfect.
what Zoom does this time. But yeah, I think I should be working quite well. So I think let's just quickly check maybe if we are on with YouTube, and then again I think on Twitter, Facebook should work as well. So let's have a quick peek maybe if that all works, and if it does, then I would say we have an interesting bit of a different topic for today, right? So we're going to talk a bit about content and some of the things that you came across, some tips that you thought would be worth sharing. I think so. That's a bit of the I think the agenda roughly for today.
Yes.
Bit of changes to the strategy and tips and tricks, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I was
Cool.
thinking about during the last weeks and especially together with my team. So
Mm-hmm.
what's different at the moment to the current situation and what needs to be changed and adjusted in terms of content plans and content format and whatever.
Yeah.
So I thought it would be worth it to take a deeper look into what you should change at the moment during your content marketing effort. Because I mean, at the last episodes we touched more or less a bit on some points
Mm-hmm.
already, like how to change your outreach or content creation and stuff like that. So I thought we should have like a content session today, right?
Yeah, that sounds good. Absolutely, I agree. I think I mean, given that you guys are seeing a lot from your day to day kind of work, right? I think that's
Exactly.
absolutely worth sharing. I agree. So I think Facebook is looking like it is
Facebook is
actually
working.
working. I'm just trying to see if the other channels work as well. I'm not so sure about YouTube actually for whatever funny reason. Um, but I think we figure that one out in a bit.
Yeah, I'm also trying to check on that.
It's always interesting, right?
Hmm.
You have it set up and it works, and then you do it again, and for whatever reason,
Everything is
it
different again.
everything is different. Like Zoom killed my login credentials for whatever strange reason. I don't know, really weird. But yeah, I guess that's the, the nature of the beast, so to say. I have to say, I mean, as much as I like this restream situation, sometimes it just feels um, I don't know, a bit tricky.
It is. So I just checked on YouTube and I think we are not live there yet.
And I think also what I figured just now is that I think people couldn't see you, so I hope that is fixed now as well because that setting was also gone. So I
Oh,
think now, like let's check again. But I hope now we finally have it figured out. But yeah, I think now the video should be there as well. I think what it did before was it was just iterating between the screens, and now it
ah,
kind of went back to this to the gallery mode, which just makes a
I
bit more
see.
sense for a conversation. Anyways, yeah, yeah. I don't know what's going on with YouTube here. That's a bit weird because it's like Restream tells me it's sending data, but for whatever reason, it's not. But if you recall, we had this other funny thing with YouTube the other day as well, where it was running for like what 8 hours or 9 hours or something.
It was
So
11.
Yeah, that was a bit strange as well. I don't know. But yeah, maybe just go to Twitch. I think Twitch is better anyways these days. So, go to Twitch, find PKs on Twitch. That works. Maybe that's more hip. More hip anyways. Let's just leave it with that. I don't want to be bothered with YouTube anymore. All right, can't. Either way. What I will be doing though, I think in prep you kind of you circulated a couple of links. So I let me try to put them up on the screen share.
Okay.
That makes it a bit easier, I think, to follow. So the first one is some data. I think you wanted to start with that comes from Statista as of March this year, right?
Exactly. It's pretty new. I'm just checking if I see your screen. Just
I hope you do. Would be good.
Still not there. No.
It's not there?
It's not there, unfortunately. Don't ask me why. Ah, now it's there.
I was gonna say maybe there's a bit of a delay.
Okay, all right. Exactly. Yeah, I wanted to start with Statista. I found that 2 weeks ago, and I thought that it's a good hanger for our topic today. So we want to talk about content marketing efforts and how they should change at the moment. And I mean, due to the current situation, a lot is changing, right? So the search behavior is changing, business goals, company goals are changing, but also customer interest and also how they spend their time.
Yeah.
So, and this is why also your content strategy should change. So I took a look on that statistics here on Statista and saw that around, I think it was like 35% of people, or the statistics show that 35% of people are reading at the moment since March more books.
It's in the middle, right? Yeah.
Exactly, it's there in the middle. And like books and audiobooks, but also 44% are spending more time on social media than before Corona.
Yeah, they're probably all bored anyways, right? So they're just sitting at home. Even though what I found interesting, I think there was another study that we looked at, right, in the past, where I think it was the one that Wright kind of put live. Do you recall where we were talking about the shift from the devices? So I think that's interesting, right? Even though people apparently are not like spending more time like for commuting and those types of things, they still seem to have a lot more time in general for consuming social content, I guess.
Definitely. Yeah. I found that. I mean, it's not that surprising, but it's pretty interesting when you think about how to get in touch with your customers, right?
Yeah.
And with your target audience. So I found that quite interesting, so to say. So yeah, I mean, that indicates that especially in terms of content, we need to change our content approaches over here and where we can reach our target audience. So I think we can start with an article I found. This is the first one.
Let me switch it over quickly. Some nice advertisement. You mean the one from from Content Marketing Institute, right?
Exactly, this one. Is it should the news disrupt your? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that's just coming up.
Exactly. It's about evaluating your content calendar in times of crisis, or especially now during Corona. And I mean, it's super important. So this article is super valuable to read. I do not want to go that in detail because it's quite long. But I mean, the core message here, or the key point here, is that it's super important to, of course, in the first step, to evaluate what kind of content do you have. So check on your existing content calendar. And then, of course, what do you have in the pipeline, let's say? What kind of content is planned, and what are you planning, or what you have been or was planning to publish? So
let me ask you a question in between, because maybe I'm not sure how familiar everyone is with the concept in general. Like, I mean, I guess the content calendar per se is relatively clear, but can you share like some, like, how do you guys use that when you build like content calendar? So what goes into a calendar? How long should people plan in advance? Like what's the type or level of detail that you would generally recommend? Because I think that ties into the discussion here. Like when you say you have to change it, I'm not sure if everyone manages that the same way, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, it's always super necessary to divide when you have like your content calendar between short-term content and long-term content, let's say for content campaigns. So whenever we talk about bigger, huge, like interactive content campaigns, which needs to be planned like 2-3 months in advance, this should be fixed in your content calendar anyway. So let's say a quarter before you plan to go live with it, because it demands a lot of cooperation in your teams. You need like designers, developers, but also get in touch with your SEO contact persons and whoever. So this is something which should be at least 3 months before you plan to publish. But then you have, on the other hand, like daily content, let's say, when you plan to push out something like blog posts or also like social media content. This can be on a daily basis, but also, as the best case would be, to plan that on a weekly basis.
Right. Okay.
So having like a rough plan for what kind of topics are we planning to cover, and then getting a bit more in detail on a weekly basis. And what should be there is also very necessary to decide in channels, or divide between channels, but also in goals. I mean, you have like content which is like your main content, which is, for example, your blog post, and you're planning to do that because you want to give any kind of, let's say, guidance to your target audience, or want to target on any kind of specific keyword set. Then this kind of information should be in your content calendar as well. So which kind of keyword set is super relevant over here? Who is the editor of that one? What is the planned publishing date? Is any kind of design resources necessary? What's your main, what's the format, but also what's the main topic about it? And then on the other hand, it's important to attach something like, are you planning to publish that on social media networks as well, and for which kind of networks are you planning to do that? Because then you have to change, of course, the kind of tone of voice for the specific channel over there. So this is how you should structure that one, your content calendar. So I think it's more or less the basis whenever you work with content and content marketing. So this is which is needed to share it with your product partners, but also with your SEO partners and editors and whoever. So I think this is, or that's why I wanted to have that as the first topic, because the content calendar is, let's say the basis for everything. And what's important over there? I mean, as mentioned before, it's the first step whenever you came into any kind of crisis, which we have with Corona at the moment, or any other kind of bad news. Whenever you publish or planning to publish your content, if it's a huge campaign or if it's just a blog post, you always should check on, are there any bad news at the moment in terms of your topic, to just avoid that you have something like insensitive
you don't want to clash
communicating. Exactly, because you want to talk to your target audience, right? And when there's a topic out there at the moment and you do not know about it, and publish an article about at the moment about how to travel in Germany or whatever.
Okay, fair enough.
That's super bad. So this is a topic which is relevant nowadays within Corona, but I would say it's relevant whenever you plan to publish any kind of content, to avoid just shitstorms or to step on somebody's feet.
Understood. Yeah. Okay. So it's what you're saying. It's a baseline basically, and you need to kind of constantly been updating it and adjusting it, and then kind of make sure that you kind of stay on top of the relevancy, not being insensitive, I guess.
Definitely. Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So and according to this article, there are some questions on which you can decide if you should change your, this is the first one, the question one over there, if it's relevant to change your content plans over there. So the first one is, on a scale from 0 to 10, how much does the news, like we have at the moment, like Corona, relate to your company? So for example, if you offer something where people need to meet, let's say in public, or in bigger groups, or let's say travel topics, I would definitely say you should change your content calendar over there.
Probably right now,
it's not relevant at the moment. Nobody's searching for it. That's the second point. And of course, it's, I would say, insensitive at the moment. So this is the first.
So what they introduced then is like, if I understand correctly, then it introduced like a scoring system with like where you can kind of get an understanding on how relevant it is to change and what you need to change, right?
Exactly, definitely, yeah. And this is the first one. So if it's related to your company, and then there is a second question a bit below. This one. So also here on a scale from 0 to 10, how much does this news affect to your target audience? So, and depending on your answer, this is exactly the same. So Corona and travel, like we have at the moment, or any kind of normal life topic, let's say, this is affecting any kind of target group, I would say, no matter what kind of product you're trying to sell.
I think that's also a point that you, I mean, we spend quite a bit of time together in presentations and pitches and whatnot. I think one of the points that you always make, which I find always quite like interesting, is that you said like you always talk about the two different audiences. Maybe you want to get on this concept for a second, like the like the user kind of audience, if you so will, but also the audience in terms of coverage. So maybe it's also worth, and then we have a question in the chat that I want to pick up on in a second, but like I think maybe you can elaborate on that concept quickly, and then we go back to this one.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, there are always like two target groups when we talk about content marketing. There's one target group who should buy your product, so this is your buyer's audience, so you want to directly target them. But when we of course talk about earning some kind of, or increasing your brand awareness, you want to get in touch with journalists, you want to get or earn some backlinks, of course your first point of contact is not your buyer's persona, it's more the journalist, right? So this is like the media persona you have. So this is how to divide between both. At the moment we are talking about your buyer's persona, because we are talking about content which is published on your, like your on-page content published on your blog, your magazine, your website, or whatever. But of course, when we talk about your media persona, who should write about your content, this is different aspect, of course. But this is another point, because this is what I wanted to mention as well. I'm not sure if it's, I would say, a bit too late to publish any kind of Corona content, let's say, because I mean, we are talking about this crisis since February, I guess, mid of February, March, more or less. And I mean, everybody is getting in touch with this topic all day. And at the moment, people are interested in getting like new statics and want to get to know how is it affecting my life and whatever.
Right.
But yeah, so this is why I would say focus more on your buyer's target audience and not on the media audience.
On the media audience, because the media is served quite well already anyways.
Definitely.
I think that ties quite nicely into the question. So Mr. Max on, I think it's actually Twitch, I'm not totally wrong, asked like, should I implement a short-term or a long-term campaign strategy as far as COVID-19 is concerned? So I think the question goes a bit into the direction like, because you said like, well, you plan a couple of weeks or even a quarter or something in advance. At least that's how I would understand the question there. Correct me if I'm wrong. Like, is that something, would you rather go now with more short-term kind of implementation strategies, or would you think like, well, this is going to be there anyways, right? We are also talking about this, how does the new normal look like in the future? I think that's a topic that you maybe need to discuss in a future episode as well. So is it something that you need to plan for, or are you planning for something that's a bit further down the road? So what is your advice? What would you do right now? I mean, you said already media audience, maybe not so much, but also from the on-page buyer's persona perspective, is it something? So I gut feeling, but then again, I'm not the content expert, would say rather now better than later. So I probably it's a mix of both, but maybe you have a different take on that. So what would you think is the right way to do it?
Yeah, I'm thinking about exactly this question a lot during that times because of our client work, of course.
Yeah.
And I would say definitely it's a mixture, because and depending on the industry where you want to communicate and which kind of product you want to sell, because there are some industries where it's not pretty clear how long or how much time we still stick into this situation, right? So therefore, I would just postpone for the next week my planned content calendar and just have like short-term strategies in terms of delivering the right content to my target audience.
Right. So for you, it's more now like it's more about kind of the quick win, short-term things.
Definitely.
What can I do? Provide a quote on something to a journalist, or if it's on-page content, then just have the immediate things, but not like I build something that goes live in 3 months' time and then.
Definitely,
Well, it's already outdated, right? I think that's the other side of the. Okay, understood. That makes sense.
What was your opinion about that? Because you said you have any kind of thoughts about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think right now it's quite risky if you go and only do like a a long-term planning, I would think that the topic is like developing quite fast, and we have literally news kind of on a daily basis, and of course, it kind of as citizens are impacted on a kind of week by week, restrictions lifted, restrictions not lifted type of situation. So I think I would agree on the fact that I think short term or like simpler formats that you can get to the market relatively quickly is something that I would be looking at. I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that you can't do stuff in the long run as well, but I right now I would feel that like if I would wait for like, I don't know, depends on what you define long, but if you would wait for like 8 or 12 weeks, I think you would be missing on like some of the opportunities that are potentially out there right now. Plus, I think the other side of the story is if you have something that needs adjustment, then that needs the adjustment now, and it doesn't need the adjustment in like 3, 8, 10 weeks time, right? So I think it's more the shorter term-ish, if that makes sense.
Definitely, yeah, interesting, yeah, but 100% agree with that. So,
all right. So should we move to the second resource that you shared? Yeah.
I think we will add the links in our show notes anyway, so you can read that afterwards. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so
All right. So the next one I think was Jesus, all the advertisements. It's like this happens when you open up the tabs beforehand. Yeah. I think that was a resource that got shared on SurveyMonkey.com, right?
SurveyMonkey, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is more the B2B side, let's say. I found that very interesting because they have something like a B2B survey template. It's a bit below, a bit further on the right side. Yeah, this one. Stop.
Okay.
A bit.
No. Yeah.
On the right side, the B2B customer post survey template. Why is it relevant? I think in B2B, you should secure check-ins. Something like check-ins with the people you serve, right? In times of a crisis. And this is a free template for a pulse survey. I clicked through it and I found it very interesting, and I wanted to share it because it's very easy. You can just download it and use it for your surveys. And I think even as an agency, as we are for your customers, but of course when you are in an in-house team, an in-house content team, it's crucial to understand your B2B customers at the moment. So what are their fears? What is the current situation of them, in order to give valuable information and to help them as good as possible. So this is something which is quite good, and I think very easy to implement, right? So
yeah, absolutely.
Stay in touch.
They have like a massive resource here, right? So coronavirus returning to work check-in. So like, okay, so they basically built like a whole bunch of templates there. Oh yeah,
exactly. There's also something like a leadership template. I think
it's on the top
there,
here.
Like leadership check-ins and stuff like that. Yeah. So there's some quite useful resources.
I think it's a good combination of like being relevant, staying on the topic, but just then also providing the like a service, if that makes sense, right? So it's not content for the sake of content, but it's really kind of a useful way to integrate with that, right? So I think this is really, really cool. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. So this was really quick. Then we have another link from the Content Marketing Institute. I think it's this one and the next pop-up.
Yeah, it's. I think we managed to go through all of them, and there's going to be all pop-ups. Yes. So quite impressive. Yeah. So what's that? 7 steps to create a helpful interim market strategy. Okay.
Definitely. Yeah, I wanted to share that as well because that really goes hand in hand with the first topic we had in terms of the content calendar and evaluating your content calendar. I mean, creating a proper interims content marketing strategy, let's say, is the third thing over here. And I wanted to point out today, and this content is also pretty long. We shouldn't touch on everything because we add that in the show notes as well. But what I found very interesting over here is, let's say, I think it was more. No, can you go back a bit to the top of the article? There are 3 questions which I found very useful. It's somewhere there. Yes, those 3. It's about how you should change your content plan or your content plan, content strategy, and which kind of questions should you ask yourself. I think I cannot read it; it's too small. But
you have okay, I can zoom it in. Hold on. That
no,
should work. There you go.
Perfect. Yeah. So, and I mean, it's super important at the moment to have something like Interim's content marketing strategy, when the answers on the first point, which we had, you can answer with a yes, I need to change my content calendar. Then of course the next question would be how to change it. And just to change your strategy will help you with those 3 points. So like create content that effectively addresses your audience current needs. I think this is the most important things over here, and important questions as a basis for your strategy. Oh, I'm hearing.
That was me. That was an echo.
Okay.
No worries. For whatever reason.
I was wondering who's talking now.
No, that was you twice.
All right. So there are a few questions in this article which you should answer, but which you should already answer with your current strategy, but also think about again when you have something like an interim strategy. And those questions are something like, who should the content we produce be the most relevant to? So this is a question I need to answer for every kind of content strategy. And
but what you're saying, it might be changing due to the situation.
Exactly, it might be changing, and it should be in your current strategy as already, but you need to go back to the very beginning and answer all those questions again. And the same is like, what kind of benefits does my audience receive from consuming our content, right? And also like, what kind of or what distinctive content experience can we constantly deliver? And this is, I would say, the basis of changing your content strategy here. Yeah. And this article gives you really perfectly guidance on how to rethink and set up your content strategy, really on a step by step. I think it was like 7 steps from content ideation until call to actions and performance measurements. So this is really valuable to read.
So very, very thorough, even though, I mean, no matter if you have something or if you don't have it, then because I think, that's the other thing that I just wanted to kind of raise, and I just stop the share for a second, just don't, that you're not surprised. But what I want to add, like, I mean, I think what I saw earlier, I don't know where it was, like I'll try to find the link later, but what I saw is that, and I think that was the reason at least, that you see a lot of like those, I mean, obviously, to go a step back, there's a lot of companies struggling, right? So they need to change their model, right? They're classic, they're offline, or they're only partially online, or they're not digital or digital enough. I mean, whatever that means, right? But like they're just not, what they're offering is not sufficient. And there's been a couple of initiatives that I saw, government funded, but not only, where you like, where they help to kind of get companies going in a digital field, right? So let's kind of, let's start selling online, let's get a proper website and whatnot. I mean, there's still apparently a lot of them that are not there, right? And I think, we obviously are kind of used to deal with more like the digital landscape, obviously, and then like with the players that are at a certain maturity stage where you like, they know how their business works, they have a working system, and for us it's usually more like optimization, right? So we kind of we're tweaking things, we're changing things, we kind of inclined to make rankings better, we optimize for higher, whatever that is, right? But like rarely do you need to start in the very beginning. I mean, we have some projects obviously where we start very early on when it's kind of new business and whatnot, but I think what the situation is now, and I think this is what you were trying to say here as well, is like, it's not only revisiting, but there's a lot of companies that need to pivot in a sense of like, okay, we never had a content strategy, but all of a sudden we need something, because otherwise we literally we have a problem, right? So I think it's not only like, how do you revisit and change and potentially adjust and whatnot, but even more so also for those that are only partially or, to a certain degree running like an online business or have a proper strategy in place, because it might just have been kind of the side effect. Yes, we are online and we, make like 5% of our revenue online, but all of a sudden you need to make like, 90% online, because literally your offline business is really seriously broken. So I think it's a bit of both, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, it's a bit of both. So adapting your current strategy, but also I think there are a lot of companies, as you mentioned, which never spend time on things like what's my tone of voice and how to communicate with my target audience on which kind of channel and what kind of goals I want to have with my content strategy or how to measure the performance of it, right?
Yeah.
So you're absolutely right. I think there's a huge group which never thought about this kind of aspects. But therefore, this article is also perfect because it's a perfect guidance through like a step-by-step guidance through how to set up your strategy, but also how to adapt on that.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So should I bring up
The search engine watch.
no, I think Airbnb was next. But I can also do search engine
Really?
watch if you like.
Yeah, the search engine watch article would be great. It's
Oh,
the
no pop-up. Look at this.
perfect, but that's not the right one.
Oh.
It's this. Oh, where is it?
Maybe I don't have it
Uh,
open yet. Then maybe you can
it's the
just.
article "Content Marketing in the COVID-19 Crisis."
Interesting. Let me just bring that up then quickly. I don't know why I don't have it here.
Hmm. Yeah, I had two articles from
Maybe I just
Search
missed
Engine
it
Watch.
in the prep and didn't open it. It could be, but that can
Um,
be fixed.
but I can talk about it anyways.
That you can, and I'm bringing it up meanwhile. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, so that's an article from Search Engine Watch. And it's about what the hospitality industry is teaching us in times of COVID-19 and content marketing.
Mm-hmm.
So of course I found it quite interesting. And yeah, there it's mainly about messaging, I would say, and that content marketing should overlap with communications and like PR strategies now more than ever, which is a very strong message. Yeah, exactly this one. Thank you.
Sorry.
So this is really valuable to read. I mean, especially because what I mentioned, the overlap in content marketing between communication and PR, which
Mm-hmm.
is today super relevant. Yeah, there's a 30-second summary, which I like every time when I read like
Yeah,
engine
that's very
watch
smart.
articles. They are perfect. And the author of this article, Amanda Milligan, here is dividing between B2B and B2C communications.
Mm-hmm.
And the first, if you scroll down just a bit to B2C, yeah, this
Yep.
one, to B2C content priorities, there it's a bit, or there it's mainly about building brand loyalty at the
Mm-hmm.
moment. That it should always be of a priority, of course, that's clear, I would say, but especially in times of crisis when the information needs to be communicated as soon as possible. And there's an example of Orbitz.
Yep.
Exactly. Yeah, that's not the best screenshot, I would say, but I checked on that. So rather than dealing with everything through customer service, which are so many companies are doing that, especially airlines.
Mm-hmm.
So having all the communications during the customer service, which must be a mess,
Yeah.
they just put very simple and easy together a blog post and have that in their top navigation
Mm-hmm.
with all the informations on their travel plans, and they updated it on a regular basis. I think like on a daily basis, I would
Okay.
say. Which is awesome. So any kind of updates around the Corona situation at the moment and about for their or relevant for their
It's this one, right?
exactly this one, and so it's visible for every user, and this is super. Is it that one?
Yeah, it's. I
Exactly.
mean, it's at least the
Yeah,
title says that. You know
yeah,
what you know about planning and canceling a
yeah.
trip,
And I
etc.
checked
And
on
then
that one several times, and they were updating it so many times with current information. And I mean, as you can see, it's just a blog post, right?
yeah,
It's
yeah,
not that much effort,
yeah,
but it's super visible on the website. So whenever every client or every customer goes on a website, don't need to get in touch with the customer service,
yeah. But
which is not.
you know, it's. I suppose it's also a bit about like how you are as a brand, if that makes any sense. I
Yeah,
suppose. I assume. I don't wanna. I don't wanna. I don't wanna state anything wrong, but I suppose that there's certain politics in play at certain companies where transparency, for whatever reason, is maybe
yeah,
not in their interest. Let's just say. I think one of the examples that I kind of came across in the past, obviously having had a whole bunch of flights in my calendar for at least the first half year. I mean, I didn't luckily book too much in advance, kind of moved to short-term bookings these days just because of changing schedules. But like, anyways, the thing is, I think what I noticed, and I think it's also what we noticed when our office management started changing over flights, is that just some companies were more open and more straightforward with how they were dealing with the situation, and for others, it's just a really massive pain to go through the process. I mean, and I'm quite sure they're all not, I mean, they're all capable of doing it in a simple way. It's just a matter of, do you want to do it in a simple way or not, right?
Definitely.
And what are the guiding principles on how you approach the situation, right? But so I can see this as a very transparent and open kind of open way to deal with it. But again, I'm quite sure that they all have somewhat thought about it. It's just a matter of if they want to do it or not, right?
Definitely. I mean, yeah, it really depends on what you have to offer and how you can and want to deal with the situation. But I mean, out of the customer experience and customer side, let's say it's the perfect way of how to handle that.
Yeah, because it's 100% transparent, right?
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
But you're absolutely right. The travel industry and airlines is a very special field of
I think that's
deal with it.
That's a safe way to put it, yeah. And then what else do we have here?
Then there is a bit further below, just a very short screenshot from Marriott. Can you scroll down a bit more, maybe? Yes, this one.
The Bonvoy, yeah.
Pretty clean, and that's not a lot of messaging, let's say. But with this example, she wants to show, like Amanda Milligan wants to show in her article, that also a very small pop-up can help to connect with your customers and give them at least, let's say, hope on an emotional level without having any concrete next steps. Because as you already mentioned, that not everybody wants to be that open, that not everybody has something like next steps in the shelf or whatever. Not everybody knows how things are going on or will be during the next weeks, but also something like very small peaks in your way of communication, if it's on your website with a pop-up or also on social media, like bonding with your target audience on an emotional level can already help.
No, I agree. And I think, like as you said, like even though it's like a very short and kind of crisp messaging, at least like you somewhat feel taken care of. I think that's better than this, and I'm sure you have seen them all, like those 1 million newsletters message from our CEO kind of a situation. I can't even recall how many of those I have seen, and I think I started deleting them after the second one or third one.
Yeah, the first one was quite interesting, right?
Yeah, but it's like, it's, you know, the issue starts with like a message from our CEO, and like everyone and their mother does the same thing, and you're like, what the hell? Like, just be a bit more creative. I mean, this is actually quite nice, right? So this says like, well, we're waiting for you, waiting for your return. We're here for you. So I don't know. I mean, I can understand why they partially did that, but I think you can do it in a way better way, rather than just sending out this, we are also sending out a message from our CEO kind of a deal. Yeah. I think that's this is just like, nah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when we talk about the B2C perspective, right? Because I also have like a B2B example. It's a bit further below from TripAdvisor. It's also a CEO thing. Yeah, the video. Found over here. This is the section in this article about the B2B area, let's say, where Amanda wants to point out the reassurance and also the support as content priorities. And this example here is from the CEO of TripAdvisor, and it includes two crucial things, I would say. So it's, of course, the expression, there is it, the expression of their desire to help, but also the details of action they've already taken. So, I mean, that's not a lot of effort to create something like this, but especially, I mean, for B2C clients, it would not be that helpful, but especially when we talk about B2B, I think it's a very good way of how to communicate. And the same we see for Airbnb. There's also a link to an open letter from Airbnb CEO,
I think that was this one, right? A letter to the
Yeah,
hosts.
exactly. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
this is something like like a press release, I would say. And this is like, yes, a mixture of an open letter and an and a press release over there.
Yeah.
And also to explain how they can come up with the current situation and how to deal with that for the hosts. And Airbnb gains so crazy huge amount of positive PR within this article, or it's not even an article, it's an open letter. And I checked on that, they also received like hundreds of backlinks, of course.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And the same with the TripAdvisor CEO video. And this is something I wouldn't recommend for the section or the way of how to communicate with your in the B2C field. But in terms of B2B, I think it's a very kind of positive way on how to deal with that.
It goes back to what you were saying, right? It really comes down to to the different audiences and kind of what messaging you need to get out and when you need to address whom, probably also with what level of detail. I think this is like the crucial like things that you need to find on the matrix, and then you tailor the messaging towards that, right? And I agree. I mean, just in case I wasn't clear, like, I mean, I totally agree with the fact that it makes sense to communicate. Just like as a customer or former customer, even for in a lot of cases, I didn't find the emails particularly helpful, right? But I can totally see that this video makes sense, right? Or that you have the letter where you go into like a bit more detail. Probably they could have done a combination of both either way. But yeah, no, I agree. That makes total sense.
All right. I think then in the same article, a bit further below, there's a Instagram screenshot. Yeah, exactly this one. I also found that it's another good example. This is from OpenTable. It's a restaurant reservation platform for everybody who don't know this one. And they use their Instagram channel at the moment and their brand influence as well to encourage people to support restaurants in various ways. So there are some examples.
You mean in terms of like takeaway orders, or
exactly like food deliveries, takeaway orders, and in this way, of course, they support their customers, like the restaurants, right?
Yeah.
So this is they provide practical help and guidance to the people, but also like supporting in a positive way their direct customers. So this is also a very good example how to deal with that also in the field of B2B communication through various platforms and also via Instagram. Yeah.
So they use their branding and then funnel it towards their actual clients. Okay, that
exactly.
Makes sense.
And then I think we have a last topic. This is also Search Engine Watch.
That was this one, right? The one that I already had earlier.
Exactly. This is also a quite long article with a lot of examples and why of showing different kind of content types and formats, which are positive in the times of Corona. And there we have like, it's divided into educating, like into 3 sections, like educating, motivating, and building. Yeah, you can stop there maybe. There's the screenshot of the bit somewhere there, exactly. This is in the field of educating. So they divide content formats or valuable content formats at the moment into educating, motivating, and building a community. And here, this is an example of Anne Handley, I guess. Yes. And she, for example, uses LinkedIn for something we are doing at the moment. So for something like a live stream, I think she's doing that twice per week, having like talks on how to cope with Corona. How is it changing businesses? How is it changing her way of producing content, but also in a way of content strategies, of course, but also how business and life goes together at the moment. And this is of course, this is LinkedIn. It's already a business network, but I found it super interesting over here that a lot of people and companies are doing that. So use social media networks, not only for entertainment or entertaining content anymore, but also more on education, right? I see that in many cases at the moment. So sharing any kind of workshops, webinars, Q&A sessions, and so on. And as we have seen at the beginning at the Statista statics, people have more time now at the moment.
So it probably makes sense then to kind of go on those platforms as well. Yeah, makes sense.
Definitely, yeah. And I found it pretty interesting to see that also on Facebook and Instagram at the moment, but also on LinkedIn. But we have seen that also before Corona on LinkedIn, right? Yeah. But at the moment, we see that in many networks. So this is something I found really interesting. And then there's the next point, motivating, a bit further below. Yes, this one. And there's also an example from HubSpot. Also, yes, exactly this one. It's just a post. But what I found interesting, let's say. So while bringing in a new income, let's say, to your business at the moment, it's of course necessary to put your brand and culture first, I would say. So people remember how you made them feel during the crisis or during Corona. As I mentioned before, the bonding on an emotional level with the target audience is super relevant in terms of content and content strategy. So, and at the end of the day, you buy your product, I would say, with emotions or the emotions you can trigger while having the communication with the target audience.
Right. Yeah.
And this one is a pretty easy example from HubSpot, but a bit further, you can see that it had like more than 3,000 organic likes. That's crazy. It's a great interaction rate because people can identify with it, right?
Yeah, clearly. I was gonna say I can't recall the amount of times my daughter walked into this rooms and I'm on a video call and hey, but I mean it is what it is, right? So
everybody can, right? So
absolutely, absolutely. I totally agree, and I think I can totally relate. I mean, as much as you plan, there's always going to be something in either in the background or So no, I can see what you mean. That makes sense.
Exactly. So everything in terms of motivating people or topic people can relate to is a positive way of communicate with the audience at the moment.
I think also, like if I recall, like when we had Aleda on our earlier episodes, I think she mentioned that as well, like from her kind of consulting life and a lot of the calls that she had early on. She was like, she had the same kind of impression that it kind of got a bit more like normal, and it just people feel a bit more like kind of connected to each other, because I mean, some of we all like in the same boat here, right? And,
definitely.
No, I agree. Okay.
Cool. And then there's just the last point. It's about building a community. Exactly this one. And there's an example of the agency Direct Consulting. And they participated in there was the challenge, something like this. The hashtag Show Us Your Workspace challenge was it called, when I recall correctly. The social media challenge, and they took part of it. They participated there. They are sharing a lot of home office situations, let's say, on social media. And they show their clients that they're still there, how they handle the situation as well. They show their home office work desks, and also a lot of videos on Insta stories, but also any kind of postings and social media challenges to also keep their followers engaged, of course. And it's working. And I also feel like building a community, it's more or less attached to the motivating part, right? Because it's stuff everybody can relate to. We all know the situation. We are all in the same boat. We are sitting at home or in the office, but
in the empty office.
Not many people. But this is exactly, and all goes back to the topic of emotions, because especially in times of crisis and where bad news are, there are also like emotions, and whenever you can bond to them, you're doing something with your customers, and they will think back to you when the situation will be over, hopefully.
Well, absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just a matter of time, right? But like what you're saying is then like that now would probably be a really good time, more than any other time probably, to use emotions as an add-on trigger, kind of for bonding, for leveraging, for connecting with the audience you have in mind, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when everybody is everything is quite normal, let's say, we as an agency would do more or less the same. Like when everything is normal, we communicate about our services, about our knowledge, what we
Yeah,
can
you
do,
use
what
different
we have
triggers,
to
right?
offer, right?
Yeah.
And at the moment, we feel that everything is different at the moment. So it makes totally sense to show or to give a signal. We are still here. We have the same situation as you. Even we are at home in our home office. We can deliver the same service. So the main point of your communication is a bit shifted from the service more over to we're still there, and
it's all fine, right? I think this is what it really is.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we talked about it in one of our like in the earlier episodes. I think, or even last time, where you said like where we had this screen quickly up what we have been doing at our like agency side, right? Which is going somewhat into the same direction. We didn't go video, but we have the kind of post outlining that that we're still operating, obviously, that we kind of shifted to 100% kind of virtual meetings and whatnot, because we do meetings in person, obviously, or we would have done meetings in person kind of pre-corona, so to say. But I guess that goes into the same direction, right? I mean,
definitely, yeah.
I mean, for us, probably more a bit different, because it somewhat is. I mean, agencies are somewhat used to it. I probably would say more than some other businesses, but nevertheless, I think the message is still equally kind of equally important, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Really cool. So we are through the
oh yes.
we're through almost through the time. I wanted to say we are through the resources that you prepared, right? That's what I wanted to say initially, at least. And then I noticed it's already 5 minutes to 5 again, at least in Germany.
I'm just checking if we have any open questions, but I don't think there are.
I think we covered them during the session quite well. I have one though for you, by the way, just because we touched on different content formats earlier, and I was just wondering if you have seen like any kind of commonalities in formats that seem to kind of be more popular right now than there might have been in the past. So like, I don't know, I've seen like a lot of those, and we just looked at it from Statista, a lot of like charts apparently, because it's very data heavy. Is there anything else that you have seen where you're like, well, this is something that was there before, but now it's being used more? Anything that you noticed, or would you say it's still stayed the same, or?
So the first, of course, definitely charts, but everything which has to do with data visualization. So if it like static charts, PNG charts, but also interactive charts with filters and everything around that. So also big media outlets are doing it more than I've ever seen before.
Yeah.
So this is everything around data is going crazy at the moment. And about the rest, what I've seen at the moment, or what I see a lot, is everything which is on a PDF level, I would say, like PDF download material and guides and white papers, more or less. But everything around like lead gen campaigns, I would say,
right,
in a mixture with content marketing landing pages. This is what I see a lot at the moment, which makes totally sense, because we were talking about this in a previous episode as well, that focusing at the moment on lead gen makes totally sense, right? So, and I think a lot of other people are thinking exactly the same.
Yeah.
So this is what I see a lot, like PDF content, but this is that's basically it, I would say. Yeah. Also, of course, infographics, but not that not like the crazy huge infographics, but more like smaller tactics, let's say, or short-term content campaigns, where you can see that it's a short infographic around like one specific topic, and it should be only relevant for 1 week.
Yeah, because the format is simple, right? I mean, that's probably again the same story, right? The sooner you get it live, the better. So yeah. By the way, since we mentioned this, like, I'll just bring it up quickly. We mentioned this a couple of times now. Like we have, like, as we now have our YouTube channel finally back. Well, it's back for a while, but now it's all like also updated. We even though we missed streaming on YouTube for a couple of times in the past because of like techie issues and whatnot. The stuff is all there, so like all the old episodes, you can rewatch it proper quality either here, so YouTube, just search for PKs or PKs AG or whatever that works, or of course also on our Facebook page. I think Facebook has also all the different video files. So if you want to just poke around on stuff that we did in the past, I think that would be the easiest way to find them. And I think with that, we would conclude for today, at least. I think a couple of questions for you guys out there. So I think what would be great is some feedback on topics, if there's anything that you want to cover, that you want us to cover. But also secondly, we were wondering. So we have been in the past, we have been running on Thursdays, if you recall, at 4 p.m. German time. Now, obviously, it's not Monday. Thursday. I wish it would be Thursday, but it's not. So let us know if you think what you think about the dates or the day. Probably better said. We are actually thinking to shift it because there's a bit of other things that are running by the end of the week, and maybe you're also all not that fresh anymore. So maybe the Monday is actually even the better date, or the better day. Plus, we can then have the weekend to prepare some things for you guys, because during the week, I think, as we all know, there's a lot of other things going on, and I think it's safe to say that Dominique and I failed a couple of times. With especially last week because it was so insanely busy. So I think Monday could be a bit easier.
And a short week.
And it's a short week, fair enough.
A lot of bank holidays in Germany at the moment. Now don't come up with the excuses. Let's rather leave it with this. Let's just think of a Monday maybe being the better date. That said, thanks very much, guys. Dominique and I are out for this week, and we see you for another episode of PKs on air latest next week. Bye bye. Thank you. See you next week. Bye bye.